Before that, of course, I'm gonna have my guys come out and just do a real bang up job, make sure the place is sparkling. But so I pay them approximately $35,000 per annum just to cut grass, essentially. So I was thinking when and I was so productive over my vacation. I was thinking, well, gee, what if I could replace them with a smart robot? And really, it doesn't matter what the robot costs, as long as the robot costs like less than 40,000. Marquett, I thought you pay them 35,000. Yeah, I do pay them 35,000, but they don't show up anytime I want. They show up when they want, right? Like if I say, hey, I need it by the 17th, they'll show up any day before the 17th, right? And I usually, because I don't trust human beings, I make sure that they show up at least 3 days before the date that I need it clean in case they don't show and I can hire someone else. But with the robot, I'm willing to pay more money for the robot because if I need everything to be cleaned on the 18th, I could run the robot on the 17th and it'll be perfectly clean, like the day before a fresh cut, you know? And I can run the robot anytime I want. I can keep it cut immaculate constantly. And maybe, just maybe, I could go knock on my neighbor's door, like, many acres down the road and say, hey, what are you paying for having your grass cut? They're like, oh, no, I'm paying about 40,000. These people have like actual farms. I have an estate. They have farms. And so they have farms, they have their personal land as well, that their family home is on. So many of them have way more acreage than I do. And so I say, hey, you're paying that amount. Let me cut your grass. No cost. Just tell me what you think. Tell me how you like it. And I just run my robot. Probably cost me like tops $400. Run my robot. And if they like it, I say, okay, well, you're paying your guy 40,000 a year. Give me 12. We call it a day. They'd be happy to give me 12. I don't even need the 12. I might want to let one of my young boys go over there with my robot and take it and run it. Let him make the 12K. Give me 1,000. So I say that to say, no one cares about you, and the market respects that which is needed, efficient. It's efficient, it's reasonable cost, reasonable quality. And I tell you, human beings suck because most of them are like the guy from earlier. They're liars and they're unreliable. So like even when I'm shooting the Burton Plantation show, just to source responsible women takes so much time, effort, and money just to get the actresses who look the part, can act, and will show up on time. So much time and attention. And those women don't realize how thankful they should be because as soon as I can replace them with quality, reliable AI, they're gone. They're gone. They're gone. Because I don't have to feed AI. Do you know when I bring my actors and actresses, I got to host a damn buffet for everybody. I got to pay to let these people eat. And they don't follow directions and they might turn on hashtag me to you. AI is not going to hashtag me to you. AI doesn't need to eat food. AI can do everything exactly as you ask for it. Come on, man. You better have some real damn skills, my boy. You better listen to me. You better have some real skills or you better be connected to some real people. That's why I always tell you guys, wealth through unity. Wealth through unity. That's why this thing of ours is so important, this community and this network. A lot of people made a lot of money just being associated. They saved a lot of money. And the thing is, it's love here. So whereas my current groundskeeper, I would let him go because he's expensive and like he's not a saint. But if he was a saint, I'd probably just keep paying him 34,000, even though I could just buy the robot. You heard me? I just pay him the 34 instead of buying the robot because he's a saint. He's a part of my tribe, my community. But if he's not, then like, bro, hit the bricks, get up out of here. I'll take the robot. You dig? Come on. Come on. So yeah, anyways, that's a good question. I'm glad you asked that question because now instead of doing the wrong thing, which is figuring out how to be an excellent copywriter, you can figure out what's next, which is not copywriting, not for you. No, sir, Bob. You want to do something where it's not easy to replace you. Here I have one client and I've spent over a year learning the skill that I'm frightened to start from scratch. Well, here's the good thing. You're young. Get your ass up and get to work. Here's the even more like hard to accept piece. If you weren't young, I'd still tell you, get your ass up and get to work. You don't have a choice, buddy. Like you don't have a choice. And the greatest of men are those who learn quickly, adapt quickly, and take action quickly. You see, I'll give you an example. There was a time I was at Johns Hopkins Medical. I was working an insane job. Really, the hours were ridiculous. The emotional toll was unbearable. The responsibility was insane. And there's very little recognition, and the pay was modest. And the only respite I would get from this treacherous job was my lunch break, at which point I would go to the cafeteria and then I'd play basketball against the only blacks on campus, which were basically the janitors, the food service workers, things like that. But these niggas could really hoop though. So I'll pull up in there and I try to align my lunch break with their lunch break. And then we would hoop, but we would really be hooping though. It's like not a game. You hear me? Like we playing like this scouts in the audience. And so I showed up one time and they had just finished playing and like people were basically like about to start putting their clothes back on and, hit the showers, get up out of there. And so I came in there and I really needed it in my life because, it was a stressful job. And so I was like, yeah. I was like, one more run. And I usually like to stretch thoroughly before I start hooping, years of playing various sports, injuries, I got to warm up, got to stretch. They was like, nah, yo, we got to get out of here for real, shorty. I was like, nah, one more, my boy, one more. He's like, oh, all right, yo, but you can't be doing all that yoga, yo. Yeah, we got a ball right now, though. I was like, let's get it. So we start playing. And the thing about me, LA cats, we got to talk reckless when we hoop. I don't even feel like I ain't in the game until I'm talking crazy. So, we balling. And there's one cat in particular I'll always guard because he's nice. So I'm guarding Brody and he tried to back me down. So he taking me to the paint, backing me down, trying to back me down. And then he give me, and I'm over here like, yeah, back that thing up. Yeah, use a big booty. I'm saying the wildest stuff on earth. I was like, yeah, give it to daddy. I was like, yeah, use a little, yeah. And so he's trying to do it harder and harder every time I like say something wild to him. So then all of a sudden we hear like, pop. And I look around, like I'm wondering what it was. I look around and I just crumble to the ground. It's my Achilles. Boom, gone. Achilles has left the building. And then somebody walks up and like kind of like touches behind my Achilles. They're like, yeah, that was your Achilles, my boy. That's gone. Yeah, you're gonna need another one of those. And so fortunately, we're at Johns Hopkins. They pull in a wheelchair fairly quickly and roll me out of it. Now, granted, I was talking reckless while getting in the wheelchair and being rolled out of there because that's just who I am. But once I got rolled into the hospital, now mind you, we're already at a hospital. We're at Johns Hopkins Medical. So they roll me into the hospital and the physician comes in and he says, look, you basically have three options for this. You can do this, you can do this, you can do this. One of which is like surgery, which is the one people generally try to avoid. Either due to fear, cost, etc. They want to BS themselves and do homeopathic medicine or natural remedies and all this other stuff. And so he's like, you have this, and this. He's like, I'm going to give you a little bit of time to think. And I'll come back in like maybe an hour or so and check on you. I know this is a serious decision. Whoa, I don't need time. Give me the surgery. Let's do it right now. He's like, are you sure? I was like, yes. He's like, wow. He's like, that's what I would recommend. But, people always need time to think. They got to call their mom, call their insurance and do it. It's like, no. That's the one. Let's go. And he's like, okay, well, he's like, I know so-and-so, so we can get, any surgeon you want in here, like now, like whoever's on staff right now, we can actually do this like now. I was like, let's go. Why do I say that? I say that to say that men do what is necessary with no hesitation and no emotions. You might feel some kind of way, but we don't have time for emotions. When it's time, it's time. Waiting longer isn't going to make you feel better. Waiting longer is not going to make the opportunity better. Waiting usually just causes more issues. So when you say, oh, I already learned this skill, I don't have to learn another one. Like, you're blessed because you're actually young. I don't have to tell you you're young. You're actually young. But even if you weren't young, you'd still have to, get up and find something new. And this is not a recent concept. If you used to be in the newspaper business, now you need a new business. You used to be in the Blockbuster business. You used to sell DVDs or CDs. Now your business is done. You need a new business. That is the nature of change. That's what happens to people when they're not looking at what's next. But I tell you what, if you've been following the ism and really soaking it up, you would have already been asking, well, what's next? What's next? Am I in a future-oriented business? I can't tell you guys how many times I've said, Are you in a future-oriented business? Is this a future-oriented business? Come on, somebody testify in the chat. I've done so many business lives, and I've always talked about, are you in a future-oriented business, or are you in a dying business? Are you bleeding edge? Are you looking at what's next? Come on now.